I've decided to start a new life without you." Those words sliced through the elegant hush of the restaurant like a blade. We were there to celebrate my daughter Sophia's college graduation, an afternoon meant for joy, pride, and champagne toasts. Instead, Marcus, my husband of 28 years, stood tall with his glass raised, delivering a declaration that was never meant to be spoken in a public setting. Conversations stopped. Forks froze mid-air. 50 guests, family, friends, colleagues, turned their eyes toward us. They waited for my tears, for rage, for drama. They expected Elena Hartman, the ever-gracious wife, to crumble. But I didn't. Instead, I simply smiled and said, "Congratulations on your honesty. My name is Elena Hartman. I'm 54 years old, and until that moment, I had been the dutiful wife who put her ambition on the back burner to lift Marcus through 3 business ventures, 2 career crises, and countless reinvention phases. I raised our brilliant daughter, Sophia, who sat beside me now with her graduation cap still perched on her head, her face pale as porcelain. From across the room, I saw Lila Rowan, Marcus's much younger girlfriend, shift in her seat. She tried to make herself small behind the guests, the same guests I once considered lifelong friends. Friends who apparently knew about the affair long before I did. I'd spent years hosting Lila at our holiday parties. She had even called me for career advice once. The irony was almost comical. With the same composure I used in corporate boardrooms, I reached into my handbag and placed a sealed cream envelope beside Marcus's plate. "What's this?" he asked, confidence faltering. "Something for you to read later." I kissed Sophia's cheek. "This day is still about you, sweetheart." Then I stood, smoothed my dress, and addressed our stunned audience. "Please enjoy your meal. I hope you all have a lovely afternoon." I walked out with my head high, feeling every pair of eyes burning into my back. Outside, the hot Charleston air wrapped around me. For the first time in years, I breathed freely. The restaurant door burst open behind me. "Elena. What the hell is this? What did you do?" I didn't turn. I simply kept walking. The envelope he clutched contained the beginning of a plan I had crafted carefully, quietly, and flawlessly. A plan of liberation disguised as revenge. Marcus stood on the sidewalk gripping the cream-colored envelope like it was a live explosive. Cars rolled by, people laughed on terraces, but his world had gone silent. He tore it open. Inside was a neatly typed document bearing one sentence in bold. "I know everything." Below it were 2 photographs, pictures of him and Lila entering a hotel late at night. Not hand in hand. Not discreet. Reckless. Obvious. Insulting. But that was not what shook him. What rattled him was the second page, a detailed summary of every financial account he believed I knew nothing about. Offshore savings. Hidden investments. The private business account he created under a shell corporation. And at the bottom. "You have 10 days to respond." He cursed under his breath. Behind him, the restaurant doors swung open again. Lila hurried toward him, heels clicking nervously on the pavement. "Marcus. What did she say? Did she make a scene?" Everyone was staring. "Not now," he snapped. Layla's face crumpled. "I thought you were going to tell her gently. You said we were starting fresh. Why did you do it at your daughter's graduation lunch? This is humiliating." Marcus rubbed his forehead. "I don't know," I panicked. It felt like the right moment. "No," she said firmly, her voice trembling. It was the wrong moment. Meanwhile, I drove home in silence, letting the warm wind whip through the open car window. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I felt light. Like my body had been carrying stones for years and someone had finally lifted the weight. When I reached our house, the one I designed, decorated, and loved, I didn't go inside right away. I stood outside the front door, feeling the sun on my face. Inside, everything was exactly as I had left it. The framed family photographs. The luxurious rugs from our anniversary trip. The scent of my jasmine candle. The life I had built. The life Marcus had taken for granted. I walked straight to the study. My laptop was open, the legal documents saved and ready. Divorce papers. Financial assessments. A timeline of his affair. Everything meticulously categorized, something I had worked on quietly for months. I wasn't planning to destroy Marcus. I was planning to free myself. As I closed the study door behind me, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Sophia. "Mom, where did you go? Are you okay?" "I'm coming home." I smiled. Because this time, I wasn't alone. I had a daughter who deserved the truth, and I was finally ready to tell her. Sophia arrived home faster than I expected. I heard the front door burst open and her hurried footsteps echo down the hallway. "Mom," she called, breathless. "Where are you?" "In the study," I answered softly. She appeared in the doorway, cheeks flushed, graduation gown still half on, half off. Her eyes searched my face, looking for cracks, sadness, anger, fear. But there were none. "Mom, what happened?" she whispered. I stood and opened my arms. She stepped into them without hesitation, her head against my shoulder like when she was little. "I'm okay," I said. "I promise." She pulled back, her voice tight. "Dad just announced he's leaving you." At my graduation lunch. With his girlfriend sitting right there. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say." "It's not your fault," I told her gently. "None of this is your fault." She paced the room, running her hands through her hair. "I can't believe Dad would humiliate you like that." "Humiliate us." And Lila, the God, she was sitting there like she belonged with our family. I said nothing for a moment, letting her process her anger. Then I walked to the desk and picked up a file folder, the one I had prepared weeks ago. "Sophia," I said, "there's something you need to know." Her eyes widened. "Mom, what is that?" "Proof," I replied simply. "Of everything your father has been doing. How long the affair has been going on. And the financial decisions he made without telling us." She sank into a chair. "He lied to us. For years." Silence filled the room, heavy, painful, but honest. After a moment, Sophia looked up, determination settling into her expression. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "Something I should have done a long time ago," I said. "I'm leaving this marriage on my own terms. Not as the abandoned wife, but as a woman who refused to be betrayed quietly." Sophia reached across the desk and took my hand. "I'm with you," she said firmly. "Whatever you decide." I squeezed her fingers. "Thank you, sweetheart. But there's more." She blinked. "More." I opened the second folder, this one thicker. "I've spent months preparing," I said. "If Marcus wants to start a new life, that's fine. But he won't take what isn't his. And he won't walk away without facing the consequences of years of deception." Sophia exhaled slowly. "Mom, you're serious." "Very." I stood, feeling grounded and powerful in a way I hadn't felt in decades. For the first time, I said quietly, "This story is under my control." Marcus drove to his office with the envelope still clenched in his hand. He locked himself inside his private conference room, blinds drawn, pacing like a trapped animal. How had Elena found out? He had been careful. At least, he thought he had been. He opened the documents again, scanning every line. Dates. Transaction numbers. Screenshots. Hotel receipts. Flight confirmations. Even text messages he believed he had deleted. His stomach twisted. Elena had known for months. He slammed the papers onto the table. Damn it. The door opened abruptly. His assistant, Nora, peeked in nervously. Sir. You have a meeting in. Cancel it. Marcus barked. Nora jumped. All of them. Yes, all of them. And don't let anyone in unless I say so. She nodded quickly and disappeared. Marcus sat, burying his face in his hands. He had not expected Elena to react like this. He had braced for tears, for begging, for her clinging to the marriage he was tired of. But instead, she walked away calmly. She smiled. That terrified him more than any screaming match would have. He picked up his phone and dialed Lila. She answered on the second ring. Marcus, she said, voice shaky. Are you home? Did you talk to? Elena knows everything, he cut in. There was silence. Then. What do you mean, everything? She has documents. Photographs. Financial records. Things she shouldn't have access to. Marcus, you told me she was clueless. She was never clueless, he snapped. She was waiting. Lila exhaled sharply. What does she want? I don't know yet, he muttered. A lie. He knew exactly what Elena wanted. Control. Power. The upper hand. And she had it. A knock sounded at the door. Sir. Nora said timidly. You have a visitor. I said no interruptions. She insisted. And she's already inside the building. Marcus stiffened. Who? Nora swallowed. Your daughter. Sophia Hartmann. Marcus froze. Let her in, he said quietly. Moments later, Sophia stepped inside, no smile, no hesitation, no trace of the girl who used to run into his arms. What are you doing here? Marcus tried to sound calm. Sophia placed a folder on the table. The same folder I had shown her. You need to stop lying, she said. To Mom. To me. And to yourself. Marcus's jaw tightened. Your mother is manipulating you. No, Sophia said firmly. She's finally telling the truth. She leaned closer, her eyes cold. And you're finally going to face it. Marcus stared at Sophia, stunned. She had always been the calm one, the peacekeeper, the child who hated confrontation. But now she stood before him with steady eyes and a spine made of iron. What did your mother tell you? He asked, trying to keep his voice level. The truth, Sophia replied. About the affair. About the money you hid. About the way you planned to leave her months ago. Marcus swallowed hard. It's not that simple. It is that simple, she said sharply. You cheated. You lied. And then you humiliated her in front of an entire room of people. He opened his mouth to speak, but Sophia cut him off. Dad, she supported you through everything. Every business failure. Every reinvention. Every time you fell apart, Mom was the one who rebuilt you. And you paid her back by pretending she wasn't enough. Marcus's shoulders tightened. Your mother isn't perfect either. Sophia shook her head. You're right. She's not perfect. She's better. The words struck him harder than any slap. She slid the folder closer. Mom showed me everything. She didn't hide anything from me. She didn't try to turn me against you. You did that all by yourself. Marcus's jaw clenched. You're my daughter. I am, Sophia said. But that doesn't mean I have to excuse your actions. For the first time in years, Marcus felt small. That evening, back at home, I prepared dinner alone. Quiet music played in the background, and the steady rhythm of chopping vegetables soothed my nerves. I didn't know what Sophia had said to Marcus, but I trusted her. She was strong. Stronger than I realized. The door opened behind me. Sophia stepped into the kitchen, her eyes tired but resolute. How did it go? I asked gently. She set her bag down. He tried to twist everything. But I didn't let him. I smiled. Good. Sophia leaned against the counter. Mom. Dad is scared. He should be, I replied calmly, placing a pot on the stove. He finally understands that he doesn't control the narrative anymore. She watched me for a moment. What happens next? I wiped my hands and turned to face her fully. Next, I said, we move forward. I'll meet with the attorney tomorrow. I'll initiate the divorce formally. And Dad, she asked. He'll realize he underestimated the woman he abandoned. Sophia nodded slowly. Mom. I'm proud of you. I paused, feeling a swell of emotion I hadn't expected. Thank you, sweetheart. We embraced briefly, and for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to feel it. Hope. The next morning, I arrived at the law office precisely at 9. The building was modern, glass-walled, and intentionally intimidating, exactly what I needed. The receptionist greeted me with a polite smile. Mrs. Hartman. Attorney Calder will see you now. I followed her down a quiet hallway. Inside, the office was lined with dark wood shelves and framed case victories. Attorney Daniel Calder stood from his desk as I entered. He was in his mid-40s, sharp-eyed, and carried himself with the calm confidence of a man who had won far more battles than he had lost. Elena Hartman, he said warmly, shaking my hand. I've reviewed the documents you sent in advance. You came prepared. I sat across from him. I've had time to think. He nodded. Let's begin. He opened my file, thick with evidence, financial statements, and the timeline I had carefully assembled. Mrs. Hartman, he said, adjusting his glasses, you have an incredibly strong case. Your husband's financial deception alone could be grounds for significant compensation. Combined with the affair and the public humiliation, well, we can pursue a very clean, very powerful divorce. I took a breath. I don't want to ruin him. Daniel raised an eyebrow. But you do want your freedom. Yes. And you want what you're owed. Yes, I said again, firmer this time. He smiled. Then we'll fight. Strategically, without chaos. You've already done the hardest part, gathering evidence. Now let me use it. I nodded, a slow exhale leaving my chest. He continued, we'll file the divorce petition tomorrow morning. Once Marcus is served, he'll have 30 days to respond. Given the nature of your evidence, settlement negotiations will likely favor you. What about Sophia? I asked. You have nothing to worry about, he assured. She's an adult. And from what I've read, your husband didn't just betray you, he betrayed her trust as well. Judges take emotional harm into account. I stood, extending my hand. Thank you, Mr. Calder. You're welcome, Mrs. Hartman, he said. But one more thing. I paused. You're remarkably composed for someone whose entire life just shifted. I smiled faintly. That's because this time, I'm in control. When I returned home, Sophia was waiting on the sofa, tapping her phone nervously. Well, she asked. It's done, I answered. The papers will be filed tomorrow. Sophia exhaled in relief. What do we do now? I walked to the window, sunlight pouring across the floor. Now, I said, we prepare for Marcus's reaction. The next morning was quiet, too quiet. I made coffee, fed the garden birds, and waited. I knew the moment Marcus received the official divorce papers, the silence would shatter. It didn't take long. At 11:14 a.m., my phone began to ring. Marcus. I didn't answer. A minute later, a second call. Then a third. Finally, Sophia walked into the kitchen, holding her own phone with raised eyebrows. Dad's calling me too. Let it ring, I said calmly. We sat down at the table, sipping coffee like two soldiers waiting for the enemy to reveal his next move. Outside, a car door slammed. Sophia peeked out the window. Mom, he's here. I nodded. Let him in. She opened the door. Marcus stormed inside, the divorce envelope clutched in his hand. Elena, what the hell is this? He demanded. You filed for divorce. Without talking to me. I stayed seated, composed. You already talked when you announced your new life at our daughter's graduation lunch. He blinked. I didn't mean for it to happen like that. I raised an eyebrow. But it did. He placed the papers on the table, hands shaking slightly. You're asking for too much. The house, the assets, spousal support, you're being unreasonable. No, I replied. I'm being fair. That's the difference. Sophia stood at my side, her presence steady and supportive. Marcus looked between us, his voice cracking. You two are against me. No, I said softly. We're standing with the truth. He collapsed into a chair, defeated. Elena, can we talk about this privately? Everything is already in writing, I said. There's nothing left to discuss. He swallowed hard. You're really doing this? Yes, I said. Because I deserve a life where I'm respected. Sophia stepped forward. Dad, Mom isn't punishing you. She's choosing herself. Something you should have done for her long ago. Marcus rubbed his forehead. I thought you'd break down, he muttered. You always bend. You always forgive. I smiled faintly. Not anymore. He sighed, an exhausted, defeated sound. So this is it. This is closure, I said. You chose a new life. I'm choosing mine. After a long pause, Marcus stood up slowly. I'll sign. And just like that, the weight of 28 years lifted. He left the house without looking back. The front door shut gently, almost respectfully. Sophia wrapped her arm around me. Mom, it's over. No, I whispered, smiling through quiet tears. It's finally beginning.